Here we go. Hey, so we're doing a little walk and chat again. This is Brandon Harpold. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing well, George. Thanks for inviting me out.
Fantastic. Can you tell us a little bit about you? So, like, where you're from?
Yeah, of course.
What you do?
I'm from America. I'm from Florida. I have 2 degrees in psychology. My master's is in a real niche field of psychology called human factors and applied cognition. And I've lived here in Madeira as an expat for about a year and a half now. And I recently did a career shift into communication and public speaking type things. And also I'm kind of an amateur philosopher. So I like to read philosophy and come up with methods of how I can make it not as scary for normal people that don't read it and make it kind of fun and life applicable.
Nice. So, Brandon lives with my girlfriend, Ellie, and we've known each other for about a year now, something like that, maybe a bit less.
Yeah, less than a year probably.
And yeah, for one, all round great, interesting dude, but also the switch in career was really interesting, and it is interesting still how it's going, what it's about, and plus getting to see him public speak and see, because I also went to one of your workshops, which was great, really enjoyed it, took a lot from it, and then seeing you in action it was just great. I appreciate the whole thing. I appreciate your practice and I appreciate what you're doing. And so I thought it'd be cool just to get a little bit on here, and then we're going to film a podcast later, so that'll be good too. So the question for you today is 2 things that you'd want to tell your younger self. Now, 2 things about whatever you want, and also you can pick your younger self in terms of age and situation.
Oh, okay. All right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. So as a kid, I always had a bit of a punk side to me, and I mean that in that I would reject a lot of social conventions, and I was actually a pretty weird kid, and I would do it in the spirit of just trying to be ironic and silly and funny, but I didn't replace it with anything better. So I might poke a hole, but then I wouldn't patch it with anything else.
Roger.
So as I got older, I managed to hone that ability a little bit more, where I'm poking fun at the social conventions, but then I'm also putting something better for my life in place of them.
Nice.
So something I would want to tell my younger self is, don't do it to be contrarian, do it to critique and make better. This is my idea I told you about culture of one. We all grow up in some culture, and cultures are kind of like this one size fits all onesie. And if you're too big or too small, then the one size fits all doesn't quite fit you. And I think a lot of us expat types experience this, and that's why we move on. So instead of just being contrarian because the one size fits all onesie doesn't fit, tailor your own, borrow from other cultures, other ideas, and stitch together your own framework of how you want to live your life.
Love that.
Thank you.
Nice. Love that. And anything else? So 2 points.
Yeah, the second point is I read about 3 different quotes that to me all overlap and get at the same heart of the matter. 2 are from this American philosopher who pioneered a field called transcendentalism. His name's Ralph Waldo Emerson. He's a real popular poet type guy.
Why if we turn back?
Yeah, sure thing. Yeah. And one thing that he said that changed my life was, make your own Bible, select and collect all the words and sentences that in all of your readings have been to like the blast of a trumpet. And I grew up devout evangelical Christian in America, and I ended up leaving back to the one size fits all versus stitching together your lifestyle. So I've been actively building my own code of how I want to live my life, inspired by this idea of make your own Bible. You're allowed to stitch together your own ethos.
Absolutely.
A second quote that is very similar is by the same guy. He said, all of life is an experiment. The more experiments, the better. And that complemented really well because I have a science background. So I started trying to live my life as an experiment. Like I change something and then I see what happens. Am I smiling more? Like that's one thing I measure, is how many times am I laughing or smiling? How many times am I meeting up with friends? Because in one part of my life, those numbers were abysmally low. I changed something and then those numbers went up. And then the third quote that also taps into this is from the Persian poet Rumi. And he said, don't be satisfied with stories of how things went for others, unfold your own myth. This idea, so I combine all of that together for this idea of authorship, of experiment with your life, form your own ethos, and see what happens. That's when you're going to live a more unique life. That's when you're going to have to endure your own consequences, which means you're going to learn your own lessons, which means you're going to grow into a more unique individual because you're not just following whatever the cultural prescriptions are.
Sorry, something. Yeah, love that. Love that too. Super powerful. What age would you want to hear that? Or would you want yourself to hear
Probably
that?
high school. I think you could pick any number of years throughout high school.
Yeah,
I think
a good age to make change too, right?
Yeah, because I was so bought into the one-size-fits-all mentality, and then it wasn't until I was 24-ish that I started breaking more out of that.
Nice. So I'm trying to avoid the dog because it's super loud. Amazing. I love it, and I think high school is a good time too because again, it would be a good. It would resonate, and it'd probably be more likely to be relevant and make sense, and then be able to make change. But so the second question is, what part of your practice would you want people to know about and you think is valuable?
Okay, so now we're jumping topics back to my public speaking stuff a little bit. And I think with public speaking and communication a lot of it is science, but a lot of it is a little bit performance art.
Yeah.
So understand where the science ends and begins and where the performance side ends and begins. So one thing I'm big with my public speaking clients is learning how to manage your nerves. That's very scientific. You can learn the science of why we get nervous. Has anybody ever asked what are nerves and why do we get them when we're publicly speaking? So that's some of the stuff I address. But then when I'm giving my toasts, after you master how to manage your nerves and some of the other scientific skill sets, it's a lot of performance. It's a lot of me deliberately pointing out irony. It's a lot of me trying to put on a performance with hand gestures and vocal inflection to communicate some idea in a certain light. Yep.
And so that's what you want to. Sorry, that's what you want to convey to the public is that there's more to it than just science.
Yeah, it's both. I tend to think a lot of people frame public speaking more on the performance art side.
Right.
And since I have this psychology background, I'm trying to bring that into it to say,
Roger.
we say like, the filler words.
Yes.
There are scientific explanations of why we say those words and what they are accomplishing in a communication sense. So I dive into that stuff and explain why do they exist in the first place.
Roger. Cool. Thank you. I appreciate that. That's super insightful. Go check out his page, both YouTube and Instagram and TikTok.
Brandon Harpold.
Cool.
Yes.
Brandon Harpold on everything. And yeah, we'll be back with you on a podcast. Dang. See you, dude. Cheers.
Cheers.